Hello all, this is Dr. Dave Maslak talking to you about reciprocity.com. The E is written with a 3, and in this particular video I'm going to talk to you about how to actually write a statement of purpose for your PhD and thinking about some tips that actually work for academics. So if you don't know me, I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out that I want to pay the favor forward and help you out. So this video is going to be really geared towards people that are thinking of going into academics, whether you are going into graduate school to do a master's or a PhD, or that you are an assistant or associate professor and thinking about writing your statement of purpose for that. So what is your statement of purpose, sometimes called a SOP? Statement of purpose, and that's really just your it tells the audience, tells other people why you're actually doing the thing that you're doing with your research, right? So it tells others what you're interested in and what you are going to sort of do research on in the future, right? So it kind of gives you it's like a personal story, and it is a personal story about your own individual research, right? So what should a statement of purpose include? Really, it should focus on where you've been in terms of your research and what you're kind of interested in, what your current research interests are, and what do you expect to actually accomplish in the future. So there's some things that you probably want to sort of think about, right? So first one is it should outline your data that you work with in some sort of way. And so you might actually maybe even have that as a section of what you might be actually interested in terms of the data and the context that you're interested in. You definitely have to sort of talk about the theory, and there should be some overarching theme behind all the different things that you're working on or interested in, and there should be sort of a connection between them. And so you have to think about that, especially as you go, later on in your career. You're kind of doing a lot of retrospective theorizing or thinking about what you're actually interested in, right? So you have to think about, okay, why did I actually study this in the first place? And then you have to think of an overarching theme behind why you're actually doing that. It's kind of like the theoretical perspective that you're interested in, right? And then you might want to talk about maybe some of the methods that you are interested in as well. Now, all this kind of varies depending on your sort of the area that you're interested in, but this is kind of sort of standard in terms of way that you might frame things or the different questions that you're looking at, right? So you should have some general research question or general problem that you are thinking about, and that general problem applies to many different sort of areas or sub areas, right? So sometimes you might have multiple streams or multiple things that you're interested in. So, one or two things that you might be interested in. So then you have to articulate what those things are, and maybe, how they kind of loosely hang together, and sort of think about how they hang together, right? So why are you actually doing the thing that you're doing? And you're trying to communicate this to the outside audience of why you're doing the things that you're doing. And there's lots of different reasons why you might have a statement of purpose. When you're applying to different programs, you're applying to different, institutions when you go get a job. All of these things are really important to sort of think about what you are interested in and what your core research that you're thinking about is about, right? And so then you sometimes have to think about what your audience is when you're thinking about your statement of purpose, right? So if you're applying to go into a PhD program or, going to do graduate school, then you might think about the research interests that other people have at that particular program and sort of focus on those particular individuals, right? So I have a bunch of videos you can watch about that. If you are thinking about for your institution, you might think about, well, how does the stuff I'm working on sort of, if you're an assistant professor, for example, how does the stuff I'm working on match with other people and sort of frame with what other people are doing, not within your institution, but within this sort of broader audience. And so you might have to think about, and this is really important when you go out for tenure, is thinking about who the people that might be interested in your research are going to be, right? So that's the important thing. Who you're actually writing to is going to be an important thing. So how long should a statement of purpose actually be? For the most part, most statement of purposes, there's a page limit. It's just simply because everybody gets bored when they read it And some people just end up like, if you don't have a page limit, they just keep going on and on and on, right? And you don't want that, right? So generally it's anywhere between, 1 to 5 pages, single spaced. And you're aiming for something that's short and concise, that sort of pinpoints what you are about and what you're interested in. How did you get to the thing that you're actually looking at, and why does it actually matter, right? So the problem is if the statement of purpose is too long, nobody's going to read it. Nobody's going to really care, right? So most people are going to quickly go through and skim your statement of purpose and just kind of get a sense of what you're about. And you have to make it as easy and concise as you possibly can. Everybody tries to do that, but it's hard to do that, right? So you sort of think about, an introduction where you have general overview with your research question, and then sort of breaking down in the different subsections of what is going on with the thing that you're interested in, and then finally sort of summarizing at the end, right? So it's kind of like that sandwich model that lots of people think about. So the best format, I think, for a statement of purpose is to really give an overview of your current research path and just be honest, honest with what you are interested in. So looking at where you've come from and where you're going, right? So some sort of chronological order of thinking about, where have you been? Why are you actually doing the thing that you're doing? And then going to, where are you going to go in the future for the next 5 to 10 years? And so that forecast is actually really important when you're applying for jobs. Maybe you want to become a dean, for example. Well, then you have to sort of think about, like, what is the sort of future of what I'm trying to do, and where am I going to go with this career path? And that's kind of really what you're trying to communicate with other people, right? In terms of ending or summarizing the statement of purpose, you want to sort of end there of where you're going to go and why is the stuff that you're actually doing is important, and sort of summarize in a broad sense why it's actually important and relevant to a larger audience, why people actually care, right? So if you're in microbiology, for example, and you're studying something that's a little tiny, well, it doesn't matter. A lot of people can't see why it actually matters, that little tiny thing that you're studying, right? So, or maybe you're studying some bug in the wings on a bug. Well, if you can sort of communicate that is important for aerodynamics, that's important for flight paths, and it has all these sort of engineering applications and things like that, that's going to sort of resonate a lot more with a broader audience. And that's what you're trying to think about, is why is this thing important and relevant to a broader audience? And why should other people care? And if you can answer that, you've come a long ways with your research question, right? So it's not, and the other thing to think about, it's not about you it is about you, but you're also communicating to others what you're about. And so you have to think about the audience that you're talking to. And that's an important thing in terms of communicating this in simple language. So imagine that you're probably trying to communicate it to, somebody that has a high school education. And if you can communicate it to somebody that has a high school education, then you probably have it nailed down. And it's probably perfect in terms of your statement, in terms of concluding and where you're going to go with your statement of purpose. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel. Try to be as helpful as I possibly can. Anyways, take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.